They made me sit in the rain like I was nothing. They laughed at my poor husband. But before the night ended, the groom was on his knees, and my parents realized they had destroyed the wrong woman. My name is Emily Carter, and the rain that day wasn't gentle. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't cinematic. It was cold, sharp, humiliating, each drop soaking into my dress like a reminder of exactly where my parents believed I belonged. I stood under a gray sky outside the lakeside pavilion, watching guests walk past me with umbrellas, laughter, and champagne glasses. Inside, violins played. Crystal chandeliers glowed. My younger sister's wedding was perfect, except for me. Emily, don't just stand there, my mother, Margaret Carter, snapped, adjusting her pearl necklace. You'll wrinkle your dress. I stared at her, rain dripping from my hair onto the silk fabric she herself had chosen for me. You told me to wait here. Yes, until we find you a seat, she replied, her eyes already drifting away. The inside is full. Full. I looked past her through the glass doors. Empty chairs lined the back rows. Entire tables untouched. But those were for important guests, business partners of the groom's family, wealthy relatives, donors, people who mattered. I didn't. My father, Richard Carter, cleared his throat beside her. Just stay put for now. Don't make a scene. A bitter smile touched my lips. I had spent my entire life not making scenes. And yet here I was, soaked cold, invisible. Across the garden, my husband stood silently. Daniel Wright, the man my parents loved to call a mistake. He wore a simple black suit, no designer label, no flashy watch. His dark hair was neatly combed, his posture calm. Anyone who didn't know him would assume he was just another guest. Another nobody. That's what my parents thought too. You see him? My mother whispered with a tight smile, nodding toward Daniel, standing there like he owns the place. I didn't answer. Honestly, Emily, she continued, you could have married so much better. Look at your sister. Sophia Schulz Weasley. Sophia, golden child, perfect daughter, married into money. The groom, Ethan Blake, was everything my parents admired. Polished smile, expensive suit, family fortune built on hotels and real estate. He was shaking hands, laughing loudly, basking in admiration. Ethan caught my eye briefly. His smile faded. He leaned towards Sophia and whispered something. She glanced at me, then looked away, her lips tightening. Moments later, a wedding coordinator approached me. Miss Carter, she said politely, though her eyes already held judgment. Your parents asked if you could remain outside for the ceremony. I laughed softly, thinking it was a joke. You want me to sit in the rain? She hesitated. It's just seating arrangements. I looked at my mother. She didn't even pretend to look guilty. You'll be fine, Margaret said. It's only 30 minutes. 30 minutes of humiliation. Daniel started walking toward me, his steps slow, controlled. I knew that look, calm on the surface, storm underneath. Before he could reach me, my father stepped in his path. Daniel, Richard said, forcing a smile. Why don't you wait over there? We'll call you when it's time for family photos. Daniel nodded politely. Of course. But his eyes met mine. And in that moment, something unspoken passed between us. This ends tonight, he said, on a white, folding chair placed deliberately away from the canopy. Rain soaked through my dress, clung to my skin, slid down my back. Guests glanced at me, some with pity, others with curiosity. No one said anything. Inside, Sophia walked down the aisle. Applause erupted. I listened to vows through the glass, my hands clenched so tightly my nails dug into my palms. You always were too sensitive, my mother's voice echoed in my head. You should be grateful. Daniel can't give you the life we want for you. They never asked what I wanted. They never asked who Daniel really was. Because if they had, they wouldn't have dared to do this. When the ceremony ended, guests spilled outside for photos. The rain had eased slightly, but I was already drenched. Sophia approached me, her designer gown untouched, makeup flawless. Emily, she said, voice low, why are you sitting out here? People will talk. You told them to put me here. She sighed, annoyed. It's my wedding. I didn't want distractions. Am I a distraction? She didn't answer. Ethan joined her, slipping an arm around her waist. He looked down at me, assessing, dismissive. Rough weather, he said lightly. Maybe you should have brought an umbrella. Something snapped inside me. Before I could speak, Daniel appeared beside me. He took off his jacket and gently draped it over my shoulders, shielding me from the rain. His hands were warm. Steady. Are you okay? He asked softly. I nodded, though my throat burned. Ethan smirked. Very noble of you. But don't worry, we've got heaters inside. For the reception, Daniel smiled back. A polite, unreadable smile. I'm sure you do, he replied. Enjoy your day. Ethan laughed. Relax, man. It's just a wedding. Daniel's eyes darkened for half a second. Yes, he said calmly. Just a wedding. The reception hall buzzed with music and laughter. Chandeliers reflected off crystal glasses. Waiters moved like clockwork. Daniel and I were seated near the back, far from the stage, far from family. My parents didn't even look our way. Then came the speeches. Ethan's father boasted about legacy, wealth, power. Sophia cried gracefully. My mother dabbed her eyes dramatically. And then Ethan stood. I want to thank everyone who made this day possible, he said. Family, friends, and those who understand the value of status, tradition, and knowing your place. A few people laughed. His gaze flicked toward our table. Daniel reached for my hand. I squeezed back. Some people, Ethan continued, confuse ambition with arrogance. But today proves that success speaks for itself. Applause thundered. Daniel leaned toward me and whispered, Are you ready? For what? I asked. For the truth. Before I could respond, the music cut off. The lights dimmed slightly. A man in a tailored suit stepped onto the stage, holding a tablet. I apologize for the interruption, he said confidently. But this announcement is necessary. Confusion rippled through the room. Ethan frowned. Who are you? The man smiled. Michael Hayes, legal representative for Wright Holdings. Silence. My father's face drained of color. Ethan laughed nervously. Wrong wedding, buddy. Michael tapped his tablet. Actually, no. This concerns the Lakeside Pavilion, the catering company, the live band, and the groom himself. My mother stood abruptly. What is this? Daniel stood. Every eye turned toward him. He straightened his cuffs calmly. I think it's time, he said. Time for what? Michael continued, voice steady. Effective immediately, all contracts associated with today's event have been terminated due to breach of agreement. Gasps echoed. Ethan shouted, You can't do that. Michael looked at Daniel. Daniel nodded once. You're fired, Daniel said quietly. The room exploded into chaos. Sophia screamed. My mother fainted into a chair. My father stammered. Daniel, what have you done? Daniel turned to me, his eyes soft. The rain should never touch my wife, he said. Now let's show them why. And as security began escorting Ethan away from the stage, screaming and cursing, I realized something profound. The storm had only just begun. The room didn't just fall silent. It fractured. Guests stood halfway out of their chairs, mouths open, eyes darting between Daniel, Ethan, and the suited men now moving with purpose. The band froze mid-note. Glasses trembled on tables as whispers turned into sharp, panicked murmurs. This is a joke, Ethan yelled, his face flushed red. You can't fire me from my own wedding. Michael Hayes didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Mr. Blake, you're currently the acting CEO of Blake Hospitality Group. Acting being the key word. As of 10 minutes ago, the board accepted Mr. Wright's vote of no confidence. My mother staggered forward. Daniel, what board? What vote? Daniel didn't look at her. His eyes stayed on Ethan. You see, Daniel said calmly, when you build an empire on borrowed money, arrogance, and unpaid favors, it only takes one signature to make it collapse. Ethan laughed hysterically. You? You don't even own a car worth more than my watch. Daniel smiled faintly. I own your hotels. The words didn't land all at once. They rippled, slowly, like poison spreading through water. My father clutched the back of a chair. That's not possible. Daniel finally turned to him. Mr. Carter, 3 years ago you told me I wasn't good enough for your daughter because I didn't look rich. He adjusted his cufflinks. I stopped looking rich a long time ago. It helps me see people clearly. Michael stepped forward again. Wright Holdings quietly acquired 62% of Blake Hospitality's debt over the past 18 months. When the company defaulted last quarter, Mr. Wright gained controlling interest. Sophia's face went ghost white. "Ethan, tell me this isn't true." Ethan's jaw trembled. "Baby, listen." Security grabbed his arm. "No." Sophia screamed. "Get your hands off him." Daniel raised one finger. Security paused. "This is still a wedding," Daniel said calmly. "Escort Mr. Blake out respectfully." Ethan spun toward me. "You knew, didn't you?" he snarled. "You planned this." I stood slowly, my legs still weak from the cold rain and shock. "No," I said quietly. "You planned this. You planned to humiliate me. You planned to show me my place." I met Sophia's eyes. "And you let him." Sophia's lips parted, but no sound came out. As Ethan was led away, he shouted one last time, "You'll regret this. All of you." The doors slammed behind him. Silence. Then applause. Not polite applause. Not wedding applause. It was raw, shocked, uncontrolled. Guests who had whispered about me earlier now stared openly. Some stood. Others clapped slowly, as if afraid the moment might shatter. My mother rushed toward Daniel. "You lied to us," she cried. "All this time, you let us believe." Daniel looked at her, his expression unreadable. "You believed what suited you." She turned to me. "Emily, say something." I stepped back. "All my life," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. "You taught me that love had conditions. Status, money, appearances." I gestured around the hall. "Tonight, you chose a stranger over your own daughter." My father whispered, "We were trying to protect you." "No, Irapia. You were trying to control me." Sophia sank into a chair, her wedding dress pooling around her like spilled milk. "What am I supposed to do now?" Daniel answered before I could. "Annulment," he said calmly. "It'll be fast. I already spoke to your lawyer." She looked up at him, eyes wide. "You planned everything." "Yes," he said simply, "because humiliation only works when it's public." The reception dissolved into chaos. Half the guests left immediately. Others hovered, desperate for gossip. Phones were out, messages sent. By morning, the story would be everywhere. But for the first time, I didn't care. Daniel took my hand. "Let's go," he said. "Where?" I asked. "Somewhere dry." Outside, the rain had stopped. The night air felt clean, almost gentle. A black sedan pulled up, one I had never seen before. My parents followed us out. "Emily," my mother begged. "Please." "We didn't know." I turned to her one last time. "That's the problem," I said. "You never wanted to know." The car door closed. As we drove away, my body finally gave in. I leaned into Daniel, shaking, not from cold, but from years of swallowed pain. He wrapped his arm around me. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "I should have stopped them sooner." "No," I said, resting my head against his chest. "You stopped them perfectly." I laughed softly through tears. "You let them show the world who they really were." Daniel smiled. "And now they'll have to live with it." The next morning, my phone exploded. Calls, messages, headlines. Groom fired at his own wedding. Secret billionaire humiliates elite family. Bride left stranded after shocking reveal. My parents' social circle turned on them overnight. Invitations vanished. Friends stopped answering calls. Sophia filed for annulment within 48 hours. She came to see me a week later. She looked smaller, quieter. "I didn't know," she said again. I nodded. "I know." She hesitated. "Do you hate me?" I thought about it. "No," I said honestly. "But I don't trust you." She nodded, tears filling her eyes. "That's fair." After she left, Daniel found me on the balcony, watching the city lights. "Do you regret it?" he asked gently. I shook my head. "I regret ever thinking I deserved less." He kissed my forehead. "Good," he said, "because you never did." Months later, my parents tried again. Apologies, therapy promises, guilt wrapped in soft words. I forgave them, but I never forgot. Forgiveness doesn't mean access. As for Daniel, the man they once called poor now runs one of the most powerful investment firms in the city. But to me, his greatest wealth isn't money. It's this. When the rain fell, when the world watched, when everyone else chose status over love. He chose me, and that is something no amount of power could ever buy. You just heard a story of betrayal, survival, and quiet revenge. If it left you thinking, hit like, share it forward, and subscribe for more true emotional stories that'll stay with you long after they end. Every click helps another story find its voice.